Welcome to the EEP Africa Call for Proposals application tutorial. The call for proposals for 2024 is now open. In this tutorial, we will go through the practical application process and give advice on how to fill in the application on the SmartME platform. Let's start with the Call for Proposals webpage. Here you can find information and necessary documents related to the call. The guidelines, the project implementation manual, and frequently asked questions. Please read them carefully before you start your application. You can also do the quick eligibility diagnostic on the page to ensure you are eligible to apply. There is also a link to a SmartME platform where you can submit your application. To start the application process, you need to register in the SmartME platform. Fill in your name and email and create a password which you confirm. Click the I'm not a robot and press register. If you have used SmartME before, for example for another program, you might already have a SmartME account. In such a case, you can sign in to SmartME with your existing account that you already have. To sign in, add your email and password in the top right corner of the screen, next to the Sign In button. If you have an earlier account, it might be that you are already signed in. In that case, you see only a Sign Out button on the top right corner. Please click on the button to sign out of the system, and once again navigate to the URL provided by the EEP Africa Fund. Now you have entered the SmartME platform. Here you can access your application, your account information, and the support function. We highly recommend you use the support channel if you have questions to the EEP Africa team. Please note that the deadline for submitting the applications is 15th March at 1 p.m. Helsinki time. If you are unsure of what the deadline is in your own time zone, there is a timer on the left-hand navigation bar that tells you how much time is left. Please don't miss the deadline. We do recommend you submit your application already one day before to avoid any last-minute technical issues. Late submissions will not be accepted. Let's start with the application. Now you have entered the expression of interest stage of the application. Here you can again find links to all the relevant documents about the call. Please do read these documents carefully before proceeding with your application. To start your application, fill in the forms for each section. All mandatory questions are marked with an asterisk. You will not be able to proceed without having answered these questions. Name your project with a title that mentions the technology you are using and the geographical focus of the project. Ideally fit in the type of project, meaning pilot, replication, scale-up, or feasibility study. Don't use more than 7 words. As an example, electric cookstoves pilot in rural Madagascar. We would also like to hear about where you heard about the EEP Africa Call for Proposals. This is for us to understand how we could do better in future when promoting the call. Please confirm reading the privacy policies included here. Please also give consent to the data sharing statement, if you are fine with us sharing your data with the EEP Africa partners and other funders. At the end, you need to confirm that you as the lead applicant do not have an active EEP Africa grant contract. Remember to press Save when you have finished the section, so that you don't lose the information you have filled in. Saving the different sections also gives you the opportunity to sign out from the platform and return later to complete the application. Applicant profile. In this section, you as the lead applicant fill in the contact information for your company. You can engage partners for the purpose of project implementation. At the end of this section, you will find an option to include details on partnerships. As we want to see strong local engagement, please also answer the question on whether your project will be locally led. For the lead applicant profile, please fill in the sections as accurately as possible. This is important information which will help us assess your project and application in EEP Africa's ambition to have a balanced and diversified portfolio of grantees. The question on company maturity will help us assess your company's maturity level, which influences co-financing levels. Your self-assessment will be further reviewed by an evaluator as mentioned here. Please remember to press Save. Project. In this section, you will elaborate more in detail about the project. Please reserve time to go through the different questions and respond in line with the EEP Africa Call for Proposals guidelines. If you apply for a project covering multiple countries, please select Regional and then select the relevant markets. For project location, you can indicate head office if the project is taking place countrywide. If you plan to implement in multiple select locations within or across countries, you can click Add Row to provide details. Make sure that your project summary is as concise and as relevant as possible, and answer all the questions on the project clearly and to the point. Please select a primary technology focus. You can add a secondary technology focus if appropriate. Do the same for your source of renewable energy that will be used for your proposed project. You can also include any relevant third-party testing reports and/or ISO national standards for the products or technologies you plan to deploy within your project, but this is not mandatory at this stage. At the end of this section, you should fill in 2 primary risks associated with the project and what your mitigation measures are. Please be transparent and realistic in answering this question, as it gives us a better understanding of your perceived risk and how we can best support you. Please remember to press Save. Budget. Please carefully review the Call for Proposals guidelines as well as the Project Implementation Manual to provide details on your expected budget. In this section, you will fill in the total project cost and how much grant funding you are applying for from EEP Africa. Please note that all the funding-related numbers and estimates should be in euros, not percentages or another currency. Do not use any punctuation, such as periods or commas. There are conditions behind the form fields on this page, which means you will not be able to submit if your proposed budget is outside of the guidelines. For example, requested EEP Africa funding amounts need to be over 200,000 euros, but can't exceed 1 million euros. If you encounter an error, check for the common issues just mentioned. Please also note that the evaluators will carefully review your responses and will follow the Call for Proposals guidelines and Project Implementation Manual to assess your proposed co-financing needs or if your grant should be repayable. Please remember to press Save. Due diligence. This section asks you to upload documents which we use to assess your eligibility for EEP Africa funding and to conduct initial due diligence. The most important documents to upload at this stage are your company registration and TIN registration, that is the tax identification number. They are mandatory and we will not be able to proceed your application without them. Please see the Call for Proposals guidelines for details on eligibility. For all other documents, you can provide an explanation if you do not have them available at this stage. If you can't upload the document, providing a clear and transparent explanation will strengthen your application. If you have any reputable referees that you want to refer to, please do add them here, as the referees may strengthen your application. Please remember to press Save. Technical assistance needs. In this last section, you will do a quick self-assessment of your needs for any additional support regarding business development, investment facilitation, or your broader implementation environment. Please be honest and upfront about your needs. Your responses will not be scored for evaluation, and this does not affect the evaluation process. But in case you do proceed, it helps to inform us going forward about how we can best support you in your company's growth. Please remember to press Save. At this point, we highly recommend that you reserve time to go through the whole application carefully, so that all attachments and information are in place. When you have finished the application, please go to the Application section and submit the application. Please remember to press Submit. After the call has ended on 15th March at 1 p.m. Helsinki time, you will no longer be able to submit the application, even though you have saved the different sections. After submission, you can return to SmartME to follow the progress of your application. If you encounter problems or need advice, please contact the EEP Africa team by sending a message through the SmartME platform support function, which you will find on the entrance page. Thank you for listening and all the best with your application.